Hello and welcome to another episode of It's Tea Time with my very good friend Tony Westwood and myself, Neville Gaunt. And now, so far, we've taken you on a bit of a journey and we're going to continue that journey today. We talked about calibration, we've talked about performance, we've talked about first tee nerves, tension, etc., etc. Now we're going to talk about your A game. Tony, we talk in golf about your A game. What on earth does that mean?
Well, good morning, everybody. I think really the key thing is the culmination of everything we've talked about, and how we get to that first tee, how we turn up at the golf club with the right attitude to know we're going to perform that day. We cannot predict what is going to happen. It's impossible. We live in wonderful England. So the weather plays a massive part in terms of what's going on.
Certainly does.
I yet haven't met a golfer who can get up in the morning and say, I knew it was going to be a good day today. Everything's going to be fine. What's important is you can control how you respond to everything that's going to happen. And you can do that right from the word go. So last week we talked about preparation in terms of making sure when you go to the driving range, you're getting ready, you're going through the process of making sure you're in the right space to operate that particular day. When you're then moving to the first tee, you've got to make sure this space between your ears is going to work in the right way. We talk a lot about attitude, behavior, and mindset. I did a really interesting exercise several years ago now with a group of youngsters when I was the Leicestershire coach for the county juniors. And was at the time, Tiger was in his prime. Colin Montgomerie was coming to the end of his career, although he's still playing fantastically well now on the Champions Tour. But in terms of on the main tour, he was definitely in the twilight of his career. So I've got these two groups of young golfers, and I split them up. And I said, right, okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to play a game on the putting green. One group of you are going to pretend that you're Tiger Woods. So I want you to get into that mode. I want you to get into how he moves, how he might be thinking, how he reacts when he hits a good shot, when he holds that putt. Okay. The other half of you, I want you to behave and react like Colin Montgomerie. You know how he moves. You know his mannerisms. You understand then from that point of view what might be going through his head as he's doing that. So we split them up into, obviously, as I said, into two groups, and they did one lap around the putting green. Okay. In the first group, Tiger Woods won every single time. Okay. Then we did a role reversal. So the golfers who were Monty became Tiger, and the golfers who were Tiger became Monty. So we reversed the roles. We did it again. Amazingly, although maybe not to our listeners and viewers, Tiger Woods' team won again. Now, what was interesting was, now bear in mind, these are all young golfers. I suppose the age range was from somewhere between about 9 through to about 14 or 15, okay? And when I asked them what it was like, what was it like to be Tiger Woods? Oh, it was fantastic. It was energizing. It was positive. It was motivational. It was inspirational. Okay, brilliant. What was it like to be Monty? Oh, it was hard work. It really was. Oh, it was tiring, and you could never see anything working and anything going in. I said, right, now, so you can decide when you go to the golf course, because I know I set the criteria for you this morning. Said I set the criteria on who you were going to behave like. Now, but you got into that role. Couldn't you get into that role when you go to the golf course? Couldn't you learn to take the best from the best that's out there and understand how to go out and perform like they do, but only inside your skin, inside your own head? And they really, really got it. And it was it was absolutely fantastic. The words that came out of these young guys' mouths was just amazing, and it was probably one of the best exercises I've done to help golfers understand what they can do and what they can control when they go to the golf course.
It's really interesting, and thanks for sharing that story, because I laugh every time, because it's just the same kids wearing a different hat, and that's the point, you know. So who's turning up? You choose who turns up. That's the message for today. And the choice is, if you're going to choose to turn up with a negative mindset, don't even bother, because it will only get worse. You'll have your first tee nerves. You'll hook your first shot. You'll say, oh, I did that last time. You know, the next one will go into the sand. Oh, that always happens. And the negative attitude will just follow you around the golf course. And of course, the same thing is true in business. Who is turning up? When Tony and I are on stage, when we're in one of these big golf shows, like the London Golf Show, a few years ago, sadly it's not running at the moment because of COVID, but a few years ago, we got on the stage, and Tony's the main show compere. He's there with the 100 or so stands, whether they're on our level or they're on a different level. He's there really to motivate them and to get them in the right mood. Because let's face it, you know, you need to be, when you're in an exhibition, you need to have your A game. You need to be smiling to get people to come onto your stand to say hello. Hi, this is what we do. Are you ready for this? Are you excited by this? Do you like what we're doing here? Loads of questions that we ask. So Tony has this great routine, and it's a routine, people. It's a routine he does every morning, and I do it when I'm off to a business call. He sticks on Queen. Now, Tony and I are both Queen fans, but he can tell you exactly the routine because he goes through it time and time and time again. So let's just go through it, Tony. What's the first one that comes on? Just to get people. This is about 7:30 in the morning. The show's kicking off at 9 o'clock. So there's about an hour and a half coming up to the show. So, Tony, over to you.
It's what's really interesting is a lot of it is reflection. A lot of it is very much focusing on learning constantly from what you've done before. So I was fortunate, as you said, I got involved with the golf show way back in 2011. My first one was in August 2011. And at that point in time, I kind of wondered how I was going to fill Earl's Court with noise. Little me on a little stage with a microphone thinking, how is this going to work? And what was more daunting was in that first show, I actually got to interview Mr. Golf himself from the BBC, Ian Carter. So one of my first jobs of my first golf show, I mean, convinced the guys I could do it, having never done it before, was to interview the voice of golf for the BBC. And it went amazingly well. I absolutely loved it. And as the years wore on, I got better and better at understanding what you needed to do. And the more you did it, the more you enjoyed it, the more energy you put in, the more tired you got. But you had to find a process that helped you get into that mood in the morning, to get into that state where you just wanted to perform, having had a busy day the previous day. So for me, the first part of the day is looking at the previous day. We managed to share hotel rooms over the times we've done it. So we'd discuss what went well that day, we'd make notes, and we'd be talking about those notes as we got to the venue first thing in the morning. What went well? Can we expand on that again? What didn't go quite so well? How can we adapt it? How can we move forwards? So it's very much a reflective process in terms of understanding what worked. From that point onwards, though, I find it easier to think on stage. So as quickly as I can, I get my mic on. I'm there, I'm walking around, I've got my battery. It's not on, but it's all there ready to go. and I'm getting into show mode. I'm looking at my notes from the previous day. I'm looking at what we're going to do for the day ahead. I'm tired. We're getting as much coffee and caffeine into us as we can, and donuts were certainly the order of the day first thing in the morning. So it was great. So it all kind of helps, and we did that every time we did a show. It was the same. It was coffee. It would be the same cafe we got the coffee from on the way in. It would be the same pastry, you know. So we got into that process. So our mind was getting ready. But then as we near the point where we're going to be opening up, the key thing is you've got to be listening to the right kind of music. It's got to be your kind of music. It can't be my kind of music. We're lucky we both quite like Queen. So we'd get there. Initially we'd have to take CDs, but as technology improved, we just plug our phones in with the sound guide, and we kind of start off with something like Killer Queen, which would be, you know, just get you going nice and easily. You then might move on to Bicycle Race, which gets a little bit faster, gets the blood flowing. The key one for me, though, that had to go on just before we went live on stage was, you've got to play Don't Stop Me Now. You've got to be getting ready to perform. This is it. I can run through a brick wall. I've got my Superman outfit on. I'm ready to go. And it's getting that energy, getting that noise focused. I mean, there's loads of times we got the stands around us. One, we got them singing because a lot of them were Queen fans, but other stands would be like, can you turn it down a bit, please? We're trying to think. So, sorry, you should be getting ready to perform. You know, this is let's get everybody out there and moving. And when we did, I think you remember when we got the young golfers on stage to play their games, the music that we always played was Don't Stop Me Now, because it got them moving energetically around the stage and enjoying it. And it's absolutely fantastic music to get ready to perform with. We're talking about golf. You know, my world has been golf for 30 odd years, and I want to be ready to play. But I know there's been times in my career where, you know, when I didn't really feel like I was ready to play, I didn't go and play that well. Something might have happened, and it was in the back of your mind that I didn't quite get the chance to prepare properly this week, or maybe the preparation I did didn't go well, and I let that affect me. Now it doesn't have to affect me, because it only affects me if I allow it to affect me, and I get to choose. Now I'm in a position where I don't get to play lots of golf, but I still go out with my A game every time I want to go out and play, because I know I can do it, which is great.
And it's about getting into the A game. So we've just given you a little trip down memory lane for us of how we would get exhibitors to prepare for the day, to get them into the A game. Even the routine of going to that same coffee shop with the same coffee, hoping it's as good as the previous day, trusting it's as good as the previous day, the same pastries, the same donuts, and it's more of the same. But it was all done for a reason. It was all done to get us into our A game. And I do the same thing when I'm going for a meeting. Typically, I'm going to be driving, but even if I'm not driving, I'm on the train and I've got my headphones on and I'm listening to something that's G'ing me up. If I need to be G'd up or calming me down, you know, Tony and I talk about, you know, listening to water music. Well, you know, that's the right mood at the right time if you need it. So the key thing is to get to your A game, go through a routine that's going to get you to your A game, to get you in the right frame of mind for what you're doing. If it's golf, clearly you need to be loosened up and, you know, getting your swing ready. If it's going to a meeting, you need to be tip top, ready to think about someone asking a question, whether they're going to be putting you on the spot. Not that you're going to be flustered about it, And the way you do that is that you've always been prepared and you're always ready to be able to think about what's happening next. So this is your A game. This is the way to get to your A game, but only you're going to do that. The Tiger Woods and the Colin Montgomerie story is absolutely classic. And we do a lot of role modeling when we go and do leadership programs for all ages. Interesting enough, students get into the mode really quickly because they're quite good at acting. But chief execs find it difficult to put on someone else's clothes. Don't find it difficult. Get on with it, you know?
And I think the key thing is, when I was doing all my NLP and training and understanding hypnosis and stuff years and years ago, 20 odd years ago now, was the idea was that if you didn't think you could do it, do like the kids did and act as if you thought you could do it. Pretend. You know, how do we know Tiger Woods is confident? You know, we've got a pretty good guess because we get lots of evidence on screen over years and years of watching him perform at the highest level. But that's only what we see on screen. We don't see what's going on between the ears. You know, golf coaches now have amazing technology to measure a golf swing. But they're only looking at the physical element of looking at the golf swing. They don't see what's going on between the golfer's ears, where it really, really happens. And the key thing is that if you're uncertain about how you should be thinking about performing with your A game, think of somebody who you do enjoy watching perform and copy them. We get told at school that you can't copy and it's wrong. But actually, you know what? In this instance, go and copy them. What's it like? Experiment with how it helps you to understand how you can take your A game. Pinch little bits from everybody and build them into your own armory, your own Superman or Superwoman outfit that gets you ready to go and perform. And for me, that's been key. The first time I walked on stage in 2011 at the London Golf Show, I had to behave like a presenter on a main stage at a show needed to behave. And the people coming to that show expected to see that. And I'd learned to do it fairly quickly. And if I can do it, then I'm pretty certain everybody else out there can do it as well.
Exactly. The thing is, there is a phrase out there, fake it till you make it. All you're doing is acting. You need to feel comfortable in the acting. I remember one of the youngsters, just as we're closing, one of the youngsters we asked on one of those exercises that you did with these sort of 10 or 11-year-olds, what does it feel like to be Tiger Woods? And one kid was he didn't have to say anything. He just sort of stood up with his back straight, you know, I own this place. I am confident. I'm going to win. You know, he didn't have to say anything. He's asking him the question. He just stood up and threw his back out as though I'm cock of the north, you know, and you think, yes, that's exactly what it is. You've got to feel it. And this is about going back into your business now. You need to feel it. You need to be comfortable in what you're doing. And that's the main thing. And the only way you're going to get comfortable with doing that is to go and practice. So you need today to start thinking about your A game, because people are going to see you perform your A game. Now, whether you're doing your A game or you're not doing your A game, they're going to know and you're going to know, because your A game will give you success. It will make you feel happy. It will make you feel confident. You turn up with your B game, you're going to feel miserable because you know there's better. So start off getting into that frame of mind of being better. We could go on forever here, but fundamentally, get to your A game, and next week we'll talk about something different. but you've got to get to that A game. So we've had another good 20 odd minutes here of this week. It's been an enjoyable, it's tea time. So it's goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me. Goodbye. See you next week.